today on CityCast Madison. Your cinematic dreams come true. If you can believe it, we're already less than a month out from the Wisconsin Film Festival. Tonight's the first unveiling of the movie selections to superfans, and this weekend, tickets for all screenings go on sale to the general public. We lassoed in Ben Reiser, operations director for the Wisconsin Film Festival and organizer of the Fest's Wisconsin Own series, to give us the skinny on this year's fest. It's Wednesday, March 6th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Bianca. Oh, my God. Did you hear that? My dog just came into the room.
Hello. What's their name?
His name is Remy.
Remy. Man, I can't believe it. The Film Fest is coming up already. 2024. What is new this year at the Wisconsin Film Fest?
Just about everything, except some of the movies themselves are old because, part of the Wisconsin Film Festival and what makes it so special is we have a whole bunch of new films, but then we have films from throughout history that are in conversation with these new films. So that if we have, like, for instance, if we were to have a film, I'm not saying that we do, but if we were having a film about the famous composer of music for film, Ennio Morricone, if you want to get Italian about it, we might also have some films that Ennio Morricone scored in his golden years in the 60s and 70s. Like, that could be something that might happen at a Wisconsin Film Festival. So what is new? We've got new venues. We've got old venues that are new all over again. We've got some new people on staff. We've got some new ideas for fun things to happen before and after screenings. It's just going to be a smorgasbord of a festival.
Yeah, it's fresh. And I love, you're like, if this were to happen. So tonight is the first look event, which is something that you do as like a sneak peek for the super film nerds. And we're really stoked that you're giving us time because I know how much goes into this festival. And for those who aren't maybe super familiar with the Wisconsin Film Fest or, heard about it, but they don't know, like, what makes the Film Fest special? Like, give us a little picture of like what it is.
Well, it's 8 days of fun in the sun. It's 8 days of films at 6 or 7 venues on the UW-Madison campus, off of the UW-Madison campus. Lots of guest filmmakers coming to town to present their films, host Q&A sessions with the audiences after their screenings. We have late night events at local bars and restaurants and hotels where we hang out and talk about all the movies that we saw that day. It's a festival, and so we try to make it as festive as we possibly can. And I think what makes it special is we don't really have any agenda other than showing a bunch of movies that we think are great and that people here in Madison will enjoy seeing. Like, we're not beholden to any kind of industry business models. We're not trying to get films sold here. We're not desperate for films to have some kind of premiere status with us. We just want to show the best films we possibly can from all around the world and also from right here in Wisconsin.
Yes, the Wisconsin Own, which is something that you run, a program that does bring local filmmakers in. But before we get to that, what's planned for opening night?
We're going to have an opening night reception in the lobby of the Barrymore with a champagne toast and then a quick Golden Badger Awards presentation. The Golden Badger Awards are something that we do every year. You mentioned earlier the Wisconsin's Own section of the festival, and this is the section where people can submit their films to us if those films or the people who made them have some kind of connection to Wisconsin. And we're fairly liberal in what that definition is. I think we kind of draw the line at if there's a song in the movie and the drummer once drove through Wisconsin on his way to Iowa, maybe that doesn't actually count as Wisconsin's Own. But up until that point, if you were born in Wisconsin or went to school here or still going to school here or shot part of your film here, or even if you didn't shoot your film here, but you're saying you shot your film here, like this is supposed to be Wisconsin, although I'm actually shooting it in California because that's where I live. Like, that's fine. Kind of. So anyway, so then
it's the movies.
Yeah. So we have about 40 of those in this year's festival. And then
wow.
Yeah. And then a few weeks ago, we brought in a jury of sort of industry professionals and spent the weekend watching those 40 movies with them. And then they awarded 3 of those films a prestigious Golden Badger Award for excellence in Wisconsin filmmaking. So we will give out those awards on opening night. And then we have our opening night selection, which is a single film that we'll be showing at the Barrymore so that everyone can sort of congregate at the beginning of this festival before they disperse to the 6 or 7 venues that we're going to be at for the rest of the week. And so everybody can kind of watch the same movie together, or at least 750 of us, which I believe is the seating capacity of the Barrymore this year. All I'll say about our opening night film is that it has not shown in Madison, will not show in Madison other than our festival, and it's up for an Oscar award this year. And it's a feature film, and it hasn't been shown in Madison, and it will be shown only at the festival. So that's the clue I can give you about opening night. It's a film that I've seen. It's a wonderful film. It's a really great, important film. And so I am really excited to kick off the festival with that film. And people will be able to find out what that film is starting tomorrow when our printed film guide, all 32 pages of it, all 150 some films listed alphabetically and chronologically with all kinds of write-ups from me and the other programmers, including the artistic director of the festival, Mike King, and our consulting programmer, Jim Healy, and our Big Screens Little Folks Children's Films coordinator, Terry Kerr. We've spent also this past year picking out a bunch of films, negotiating with filmmakers and distributors to let them show these films at the festival. And I think we finally have our lineup locked down. So yes, starting tomorrow, you can grab an Isthmus around town, or you can also check it out online. Our website, wifilmfest.org, will have the complete schedule available for you starting Thursday the 7th.
Yeah, well, there's always like so many, right? And like y'all sell out. And so people want that like first peek, what's happening with at the first look event. Or is the opening to the film fest like that's the one you should go for? Or like are there any like Wisconsin owned stories that you're like particularly excited about that you're not sharing the title of?
One of the films that was submitted to Wisconsin's Own is a terrific feature-length documentary that takes place right here in Wisconsin. But after they sent it to us and we said, yes, we would love to show it, it got accepted into a very fancy, prestigious European documentary festival that did require it to have premiere status with them. And so...
Okay, come through, Wisconsin makers.
Right. So we begged and pleaded with that Wisconsin filmmaker to somehow figure out a way for us to be able to show it in advance of its official premiere at that other festival. And so we're doing a sort of a secret sneak preview, and the filmmaker will be in attendance. We'll show the film, but the audience will be sworn to secrecy about the title of the film until maybe a month or two after our festival, when the rest of the world gets to see this great Wisconsin's Own film. So there you go. There's a scoop for you.
Thank you, Ben. Honestly, and last year I remember like y'all have little secret events. Kind of like come to this event and find out, like it truly is like an adventure for people who want to like.
It is. It's an adventure that I need to sleep off for the next 6 months as soon as it's over. Here's another thing I can tell you about, as long as I have you here as a captive audience. Some people may know, and if not, I'm here to tell you that the filmmaker, the very famous filmmaker, writer-director, Alexander Payne, he's got a film that's up for an Oscar for Best Picture this year, The Holdovers, starring Paul Giamatti. He is coming to town the day after the film festival to be our guest at UW Cinematheque, which is the other program that I work for at the University of Wisconsin. And he's going to be bringing with him a 35 millimeter print of The Holdovers, and we're going to show that on Friday, April 12th for free at the UW Cinematheque. And then he'll stick around and show another film on Saturday night, April 13th. But what I recently found out is Alexander Payne has agreed to come a day early and spend the last night of the film festival with us here in Madison as well. And so at the Barrymore Theater on closing night of the festival, we are showing 2 films with Alexander Payne in attendance. The second of these 2 films will be the film Sideways that also stars Paul Giamatti. That's a classic Alexander Payne, and we're going to show that at the Barrymore with Alexander Payne there to answer everyone's questions about the movie and sort of reminisce and celebrate. And that's how we're going to close out the festival. So there you go. There's another scoop for CityCast Madison. Boom!
Thank you. Boom! I got a chance to meet Alexander Payne last time he was here a million years ago. I mean, about his film Nebraska when he was here. Yeah, he's a big deal. That's so exciting that you guys are going to be also doing a Sideways. So like if y'all, it's like a wine movie that's very kind of like a little cult film.
Yeah, we will serve some Merlot for sure.
You know, AMC over in Hilldale, that went away. And now you guys are kind of transitioning to a new spot, Flicks Brewhouse in Madison, as a venue. And I just want to kind of hear about that and like what's going to be different with the festival, with the change in our theater landscape.
Yeah, well, this is the festival's, I think, 26th year. And for the first, let's say, 15 years or so, we had a remarkably different footprint than what we have today. We were sort of up and down State Street and all over town converting non-traditional cinema spaces into cinemas, so that we were at the Bartell Theater, we were at the Orpheum Theater, we were at Momoka, we were sometimes at the Capitol Theater, but we were also at Monona Terrace and a bunch of campus venues, and we would rent 35 millimeter film projection equipment and show stuff all around town. Then with the dawning of the age of digital film projection, that became cost prohibitive. Renting or even buying that kind of equipment and installing them temporarily in those kind of spaces was something that we just couldn't do. And so we found some venues on campus that we could bring digital equipment into. We committed to having a few venues that still ran 35 millimeter film, which became harder and harder to do because at a certain point around 2012, 2013, distributors and producers stopped, first of all, shooting films on film, but even more importantly, stopped distributing films on film. You could only show things with these digital files called DCPs. And so we turned to what was then Sundance Cinemas at the Hilldale Shopping Center, which eventually became AMC Cinemas at the Hilldale Shopping Center, because they were a movie theater that had 3 screens with lots of seats, which is important to us because we're showing a movie once or twice, and we want as many people as possible to be able to see that movie. So we need big houses. And then they also have that equipment and they're showing movies all year round. So it's a much easier process just to sort of walk in there with our own stuff, content wise, and show what we want to the right amount of people. And so when they closed their doors at the end of 2022, we were worried about what we would do at last year's festival. But we were able to negotiate a deal with AMC and with Hilldale, where AMC left 3 theaters worth of equipment at those theaters before they got torn down. And Hilldale said, come on in, do your festival as always. And also on your way out the door, feel free to take whatever equipment we have left for you as a donation to the festival. So that turned into a magical 2023 festival where we turned that theater into our very own theater, sort of redesigned the interior of the lobby and put up all kinds of cool Wisconsin Film Festival wall hangings and things like that, and sold our own popcorn and snacks and beverages of all kinds. And then when the festival ended, we went about the very hard work of uninstalling all of this fancy equipment, projection equipment and sound equipment. And then we spent most of this past year trying to figure out what we could do with that stuff. Are there venues in town that would accommodate that equipment? Can we bring those things into other spaces, and can we install them properly and get them to work properly with the proper size screens and good sound and all that stuff? And so that's a problem that we spent, again, most of this last year trying to solve. And so we are now back to something more like the model of our old festival days, where we're kind of spread out all over the place. So we took one of these projectors and brought it over to a building called Music Hall here on campus at the base of Bascom Hill. It's an old church that was then a lecture hall and is now being used by the School of Music to do opera classes and opera productions.
I love that building. It's the one with the clock tower.
It's the one with the clock tower. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like our very own Back to the Future thing at the end. But I don't know if anyone's ever shown a film in that space. I know we haven't as a festival, but we are going to this year, and we're super excited about that. We took another one of these projectors and brought it over to our friends at the Bartell Theater off of the Capitol Square, where we used to do things back in the old days, but haven't been there, I think, probably since 2012. So that's an old new venue. And then finally, our friends over at the Barrymore Theater on Atwood were thrilled at the idea because they too have been hoping to have one of these digital projectors in their space for a long time, because I think they're excited about the idea of doing sort of film events throughout the year. And so we're going to be debuting this new equipment, this new old equipment at the Barrymore this year too, where we're going to be at the festival on opening night and then stick around at the Barrymore all the way through closing night a week later.
Oh my gosh. And Barrymore has that super proper, it feels like one of the best theaters in town. When you walk by, you're like, what's going on at the Barrymore? It is the proper marquee and all of that.
It's got the marquee. Yeah, it's really an old, it's what they call an old movie palace. It was an actual movie theater for a long, long time before it turned into more of a concert venue. People always say, why aren't you at this theater? Why aren't you at this theater? Well, all the other commercial theaters around town have converted over to those lazy boy recliner seats. And so what used to be, let's say 150 seat auditorium is now like a 50 seat auditorium. Those seats drastically cut the seat count. And so we can't show the movies to enough people in those theaters.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, those chairs are gargantuan. It kind of feels strange when I feel so comfortable that I'm basically chilling on my own couch in this theater next to a stranger. I'm like, I don't know, this might be a little bit much too.
If you're a person who tends to maybe fall asleep when you're watching movies, it's not a great idea to go to any of those theaters, because you will absolutely be out like a light within 5 minutes.
That is really true. I hate to admit that I became that person and I'm horrified. But it's just, it is what it is. So before we let you go, can you kind of share a little bit how folks can get tickets to the festival? When, where, what are the logistics there?
Tickets go on sale starting Saturday, March 9th at 12 noon. Tickets are easy to get online. You can go to wifilmfest.org and it'll give you a link right there to go buy as many tickets as you want. We're also doing some in-person box office hours. We're going to be at the Barrymore Theater most Saturdays in March from noon to 4, selling tickets in person in case you want to use cash or you just like the personal touch. And then I think we're going to be at the Mitchell Theater on campus at their box office on Wednesday evenings leading up to the festival. I think also from maybe 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Wednesday. And then, of course, you can come just get tickets at the festival itself. Each one of our venues will have its own box office where you can buy tickets for a show that day or a show the next day or a show at another venue. We've made it really easy in the last few years to buy tickets, whereas ticket buying used to be a very hard and stressful thing for the festival. Certainly in the early days of online ticketing, we were really feeling our way through things and servers would crash and glitches would happen. But these days, we haven't been having those problems. So things should be smooth and easy. Don't stress out about it. We've got tickets. And of course, we have this thing that we do every year where even if shows are sold out in advance, you can line up outside the door in what we call a rush line. And if there are empty seats at showtime, we will sell those empty seats, even if they've been purchased already. Because, a lot of times people buy 20 or 30 tickets for the festival, and maybe halfway through, they're like, you know what? I think I've seen enough movies this week. And so they stop coming to their movies. And so there's always empty seats, even at quote unquote sold out shows.
I literally adore you, and I adore all the work you guys do. It is an incredible festival. So thank you for giving us the details and a little bit of a scoop. You rock.
Thanks for having me.
That's Ben Reiser, Director of Operations for the Wisconsin Film Festival and organizer for their Wisconsin's Own series. If you'd like to get more details for the goings-on of the fest, check out our show notes for a link. Reminder and hot tip, Wisconsin Film Festival tickets move and sell out quick. They go on sale to the public this Saturday at noon, so mark your calendars. And stay close to us for some possible Film Fest giveaways. I didn't tell you, but I told you. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with the person in your life who's most likely to shush you during a show? We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, here's looking at you, kid.